I, 20 female, have been estranged from my father for over a decade. He and my mom divorced when I was 5. My mom was his second wife. His first wife died about 5 years before my parents met. He had no kids with her, but had wanted them. He never got over his first wife. She was always his one and only. But everyone was concerned about him and encouraged him to seek help and move forward with his life. And his brother told him finding someone new to love would help. He met my mom and decided he would just pretend she was his first wife or something. Mom had some concerns, but he told her all the right things, and she was young, 21, so she naively thought it was just how serious relationships go. When Mom was pregnant, she developed eclampsia, and I had to be delivered by emergency C-section. On top of the seizures, Mom had a pretty major bleed. She didn't come around for a couple of weeks. In that time, my father named me after his late wife, had all the paperwork submitted and everything while Mom was sick. It was the beginning of the end for my parents, even though Mom stayed married to him for a few years after that. After the divorce, my mom had primary custody, and my father saw me every other weekend. He very clearly never wanted me. I hate being called his first wife's name, and I hated how he'd only talk about her. One day when I was 6, I told him he didn't love me. He only loved her. And he said that that was right, that he loved her and only her, and he should never have pretended he could love another woman or love children who were not born from her body. He said he could only tolerate me by giving me her name. My mom eventually helped me change my name, something that was complicated to do, but by then, my father was no longer in my life. His parents were good to me. We're close. But now they're celebrating a milestone wedding anniversary, and they want me to attend while my estranged father is there. I haven't seen him or been around him for 10 years. I don't want that to change. They still want me there, though, and they begged me. I told them I wouldn't go since he'll be there, but we can celebrate on our own before or after. My uncle said I should be there for them, and I should give my father a chance, and that maybe he's found a way to love me and want me in his life, and that I should have compassion for him. He's all messed up, and even if he is a loser, my grandparents aren't. Am I the idiot for not going to my grandparents' party, since my estranged father will be there? Not the idiot. Your dad is beyond messed up. He named you after his dead first wife while your mom was in critical condition, and then told you he could never love you or your mom. Yep, he gets no more chances. Your uncle needs to take a seat and shut his mouth. See your grandparents for a nice meal or something another day. This isn't worth the mental and emotional toll. Yeah, what your dad did was sick and twisted on multiple levels. I'm sure your grandparents are wonderful, but as you said, you can celebrate afterward. He doesn't deserve a second chance unless he apologizes and makes some effort. Maybe he's found a way to love you? Your uncle has lost his mind. His reason is stupid, especially since the uncle's the one who pressured your father into dating and marrying another woman when he was clearly not ready to move on and put you all in this situation to begin with. Right? Why is it the child's responsibility to mend the relationship with their parents when they've said crap like that to them? Major milestones for celebrations aren't the time for reunification, aka no deadbeat parents should expect their children to reconcile at weddings, funerals, or family parties. If the parent was to reach out, it should be before the party in a neutral location. The only way your father could tolerate you was by giving you her name? Seriously? Your grandparents and uncle know this. They know he's not been in your life. OP, listen to me very carefully. Do not go to that party. Your grandparents will likely use the party to get you two to talk to each other. It's not worth it. You'll only be doing yourself harm if you go. Some backstory. Whenever my mother-in-law visits, my wife always insists that one of the kids give up their room for her. It's usually my oldest, nearly adult, or youngest, young teen, for a couple of reasons. But this time my wife decided that our middle daughter, mid-teen, would be giving up her room no matter what. My youngest also has a cat that my middle daughter is scared of. My wife recently told the kids that my mother-in-law was coming to stay with us for 6 weeks, and announced that it's our middle daughter's turn to give up her room. Of course, my middle daughter complained, but I talked to her about it and tried to devise a compromise. I tried to get my wife to agree that one of our older kids' rooms would be better for a few reasons. First, our middle daughter's room is not near a bathroom. Mother-in-law gets up multiple times at night, and she just hurt her ankle. Second, the middle daughter's room is big enough that we could put an air mattress for one of our other kids. Our oldest daughter's room isn't big enough for that, and our youngest daughter has a cat that the middle child is afraid of, so she can't sleep in there. There's also the issue that I strongly think our middle daughter might be autistic, and any change in her routine is hard for her. Then I said that if our middle daughter sleeps on the couch, our youngest daughter has to keep the cat in her room at night. My youngest daughter refused because the cat would wake her up and want to play, but I told her it's fair for the middle to not want the cat harassing her while she sleeps, and that she should keep the cat in her room or give mother-in-law her room. My wife and youngest are saying that this is unfair, and I'm just trying to get the middle out of giving up her room. But I truly think that this is a fair compromise. Middle will give up her room if the cat is away from her at night. I told the middle child if they keep the cat out at night, I'd take her to sleep in my parents' house every night until my mother-in-law left. But my wife is refusing that too, because her mom is already upset that our middle child likes my parents better. My parents lived a half-mile from her until she was born. Mother-in-law lives across the country, and this will make her think that the middle is sleeping there to get away from her. Am I the idiot for saying that either my youngest gives up her room, keeps the cat in her room, or my middle sleeps at my parents' house while my mother's here? 6 weeks? Everyone's the idiot here, except the daughter. What the actual heck are you and your wife and your mother-in-law thinking, throwing your kid out of her own room for 6 weeks? Mother-in-law can stay in a hotel and/or come for a much shorter visit and/or sleep on a folding bed. This plan is wholly awful. Your mother-in-law should be ashamed for even thinking of disrupting your home for 6 weeks. Not to mention the disruption to the cat. Not to mention you think your kid may be autistic, but haven't actually had her evaluated? All of you adults should be ashamed of yourselves for your parenting failures. I found out mother-in-law was staying for 6 weeks at the same time as the kids. I told my wife she should either sleep on the couch or get a hotel, but that resulted in an argument for another story. I don't agree with the kids giving up their rooms, especially for that long, but my wife won't compromise. This is not a marriage. This is a dictatorship. Put your foot down. If not for yourself, then for your children and your cat. Your wife needs to learn to discuss and compromise. I take this to a couples counselor, but she doesn't sound capable or interested in compromising or changing. You need to put your fantasies of divorce into action. I'm pretty sure you have fantasies of divorce. Am I right? Gee, I wonder why the middle child prefers her other grandmother over the lady who invites herself to stay for 6 weeks, kicks her out of her room, and exposes the cracks in her parents' marriage. Dude, 6 weeks is not a visit. It's long enough that mother-in-law should pay the rent. Grow a spine and tell your wife and mother-in-law to screw off. This happened right after a study group session. One of my and my boyfriend's roommates is in the class and is autistic, and everyone knows he's autistic. We'll call him Rob. Another girl in the study group isn't my friend, but more of an acquaintance. We'll call her Leah. As we were getting ready to walk to the bus, my friend mentioned that he had plans to ask out our downstairs neighbor and asked me for advice. Leah butted in and said that he shouldn't ask out our neighbor, who she had never met, because that would make the neighbor, that again, Leah has never met, feel uncomfortable and unsafe. I told Leah that was a weird assumption to make and that she didn't know what she was talking about because she didn't know our neighbor. However, Rob has talked to her before and they definitely have a rapport. Leah said that she would be very uncomfortable if a guy with special needs asked her out because she wouldn't know how to safely turn him down. This made Rob very embarrassed. I was offended on his behalf, and I told Leah that she was worrying about nothing because no one would want to ask her out because she was mean and judgmental. Leah said that weirdos always ask her out, and she was just sticking up for women, which I should be doing, but aren't because I'm a gender traitor. I said that that wasn't a real thing, and she was just a self-righteous witch. Leah stormed off after that. Rob was somewhat stunned by what I said. He said he'd never heard me use that kind of language before. Normally, I never talk like that. I think I may have gone overboard. I'm glad I told off Leah, but I'm disappointed in myself for the language I used. Was I an idiot? Should I apologize to Leah for calling her names, even though I stand behind the rest of what I said? Not the idiot. Leah stormed off after that? To that I say good. That's it. That's the end of it. No need to apologize for your language or your choice of words, because why would you attempt to rekindle a relationship with someone with a problem with people with special needs? I'd drop her from my study group so fast, I'd make her head swim. So even if you feel an apology's in order, don't do it unless she apologized for her disrespectful choice of words used in the presence of Rob there. Seriously, does she expect Rob to just never have relationships? That, and the gall to try and use sticking up for women as a shield for her willful ignorance, and then doubling down and calling you a traitor to your gender? Usually, getting offended on behalf of other people is cringe, but you were spectacular. And if anyone questions your use of language, well, if the boot fits. If the shoe fits, anything's on the table. She was incredibly rude to your friend, and what she said was cruel. I have no problem with going nuclear on someone for their unwarranted cruelty. And to be clear, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the language you used. I dare say you were pretty polite by my standards. Also, never ever apologize for using strong language at the right moment. My 42 female ex-husband's wife, Anna, is a sweetheart. I don't know the details, but Anna had a crappy father, which caused her to fear men. Anyways, my ex and I share a 19-year-old daughter, Jazz. Jazz and her father were never especially close, but they treated each other with respect. She only sees her dad for a week every month, but she likes her dad's family. Jazz was at her dad's for about 5 hours when my ex called me to pick Jazz up. She invited her boyfriend over, and they both decided to prank Anna. It was a cruel prank, knowing her history with her father, but Jazz and her boyfriend found it hilarious. Anna was inconsolable, and her kids called their dad because she was upset. I was horrified, but kept my cool to listen to Jazz's side. But when I picked her up, she was like, OMG, it was just a joke, and it was boyfriend's idea. Besides, Anna's grown, and her dad's been dead, so what's the big deal? I asked her if she decided to do the prank, knowing how Anna would react. She argued with me and said, well, it was my boyfriend's idea. I asked her if he had forced her, threatened her, had to beg her. She said no. I asked her if she had laughed and found it funny. She said, yeah, no shame. So I said, then it's your fault, just as much as it's your boyfriend's. If you're that weak that you do something so hurtful just because your boyfriend said so, then clearly I haven't done my part. She seemed to ignore everything I said, except for the you're weak part. She went, wow, Mom, now I know what you really think of me. I told her to cut it out, but she said, you called me weak and insulted me and expected me to listen to you? You might be my mom, but that doesn't give you the right to insult me. I'm an adult for darn's sake. I told her to act like one then and stop living off of me if she's such a big adult. She said fine, and she called her boyfriend and left. But I feel terrible. I didn't mean it at all. And now I think I shouldn't have called her weak or told her to stop living off of me. I should have just told her to cut it out. But yeah, I know I can't take it back. But my husband thinks I didn't do anything wrong. Neither does my mom, though she thinks I let her go too easily. I don't know. I'm overwhelmed and confused, and my daughter isn't talking to me, and Anna's apparently not doing too well. And I don't know. Not the idiot. She is weak. It's cowardly to prey on someone's trauma and laugh at it. Also, it's fine for her to play a prank on Anna, purposefully exacerbating her trauma and leaving her inconsolable, but she thinks it's mean to tell your daughter her behavior was weak? Does she see the hypocrisy here? Yeah, if she's an adult, she'll be judged as an adult, especially on her inability to take responsibility and casual cruelty. You were honest with her, and she took offense instead of addressing the lack of empathy that brought all this on. Let her live in the real world for a while. I can't imagine a harsher or more appropriate punishment. Act with kindness or get out isn't that much to ask, in my opinion. It wouldn't surprise me if she's the one that actually planned it, blamed it on him, and then attacked you when you called her out on her reprehensible behavior. She's an adult. Pack her stuff and let her do adulting for a while. Listen to your mom and don't let your daughter manipulate you with undeserved guilt. Be ready for her to blame everything bad that happens due to her choices on you. Stay strong. Tell her you won't support her again in any way until she sincerely apologizes to Anna. My baby had a birthday last week, so we planned a little party for him last weekend. We were supposed to have only one party with both sides of the family, but my sister-in-law and her husband live far away. They haven't met our baby yet. The last time we saw them was before the global issue, and they postponed their visit for a week. So we had a party with my side of the family, my mom, my two siblings, and their partners last week, and another party yesterday with my husband's side, his mom, my sister-in-law, and her husband. As you can see, it was two very small gatherings. Basically, both times, we did the same thing. A meal, a cake, they gave gifts to the baby, fawned over him, took 1 billion pictures and videos, and we chatted while the baby napped for half of the party. I'm breastfeeding, so I don't drink at all, and my husband doesn't like alcohol much, so he stopped along with me. We didn't even think about buying wine for the parties, because the last time we bought any, it was like 2 years ago, LOL. I thought the party with my family-in-law went well. Everyone was happy, until I received a text from my mother-in-law this morning, asking me why I didn't serve drinks, and saying that neglecting my guest was in poor taste. It seems my sister-in-law is very upset with me because she thinks I was cheap when they came all the way to see us and bring gifts for our baby. To be clear, my husband was the one who planned the second party, and he bought some sodas and juices because that was what he wanted to buy. I don't know why I'm being blamed. The thing is, not serving wine for a party is rare and weird here, but my family didn't say anything about it. So we just went with the same plan for the second party. And before anyone says anything about my husband, he called his mom and asked what the heck was going on, and said if they're not happy with our way of hosting, they don't have to come next time. I guess I'm asking if I'm the idiot for not serving alcohol at my baby's birthday party. Edit. We're French, and they were expecting wine with the meal and champagne with the cake. And it was lunch, and the afternoon after that, they left around 6 p.m. You know, it's a birthday for their grandchild, and all they care about is their booze? Booze at a baby's party? Really? Those people need counseling. You have a serious problem with alcohol if you're mad it wasn't served at a baby's birthday party. You are not the idiot. If the guest of honor can't drink, it isn't appropriate. Yep, drinking problem, ahoy, I'm afraid. That's how I realized my former sister-in-law had drinking issues. She brought 4 tall boys to my 1-year-old's birthday. We never served that at a kid's party, and neither of our friends or family. If it was a New Year's party, someone's 21st birthday, or some other sort of adult party, I could understand some people's expectations of alcohol being served and being disappointed if it wasn't. And it's super crappy that your sister-in-law complained to your mother-in-law, who then complained to you. It's so manipulative. OP, you accommodated these people with the whole second party. They can survive one party without wine or champagne. On their next birthday, you can gift them their very own personal flask to never miss their opportunity to spike their drink. P.S. Love how your husband handled it.